what I wish for.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to do something special. This is a very bittersweet video for me to make, but I'm going to do my top 10 Dragon Ball fights because in honor of the passing of Akira Toriyama. A great manga illustrator, great storyteller, you name it, he's done it all. This guy is, you know, more than just a manga illustrator and whatnot. He was a legend, and I think he was the pinnacle of all our childhoods, and what better way to celebrate it than saying my top 10 favorite Dragon Ball fights. So let's stop talking and let's get to it, and let's go.
As long as my body holds out!
Number 10 is Everybody vs. Dr. Wheelo and Dr. Kochen. Basically, I'm going to start the fight where Goku starts his battle against the Bioengineer Warriors and go from there all the way to around the end of the movie. This is epic. Everyone gets to go in. There's even a giant-ass beam struggle, which may mirror another beam struggle that might be on this list. Hint, hint. And everything is just freaking going on here. I love about everything going on in this battle. And I prefer the Ocean dub because, well, Peter Kalamas is Goku to me, and yeah, he just captures Goku's voice perfectly, and etc. But I'm not talking about the dub, I'm talking about the action here. The action here is just freaking fantastic. Everything is going badassery. Dr. Wheelo is himself a really good threat, and from the moments where they're fighting the Bioengineer Warriors, to where they're fighting up against Dr. Kochen, trying to take Goku's body, to even the freaking point where Dr. Wheelo himself breaks out of the wall and everybody, including Piccolo, has to jump in and fight this guy. It's awesome. It feels like old Dragon Ball. I mean, this is all before the Saiyan saga and everything. Well, in my headcanon mind, it is. Goku does one of the biggest freaking badass Kaiokens I have ever seen, and it just has so much action. When I say that this movie just glows with beauty, I mean it really glows with beauty, and the fights throughout the entirety of this film is just freaking awesome. I don't know, it's the movements and everything going on that just makes this so much of a very fluid and fun fight. And we get to see Krillin and Master Roshi and Piccolo all work together. And even Gohan gets in a few fun shots too, stepping into the anger portion. It doesn't feel like a rehash, you know, until that beam struggle happens. But other than that, this feels like a complete original movie and fight. And I love every second of it. This is my favorite DBZ film for a reason. I love it to pieces. So let's move on to number 9.
It's time for your terror to end!
Kid Goku versus King Piccolo is a very interesting choice, and one of my Dragon Ball favorite battles too. King Piccolo is definitely a pure evil demon, as the name implies, until Z wants to screw around with his canon and just make him just some random Namekian. But back when Dragon Ball was fleshing out villains, King Piccolo was the cream of the crop of villains. At this point, he has already killed Master Roshi, Chaozu, and etc. And he has Tien on the ground basically beaten down too. Luckily, Goku shows up and he starts fighting with everything he has. Of course, after the boring filler of drinking the water again, we get to see Goku go full-fledged all out against King Piccolo. And I really like the choreography that's going on here. Like him using his tail to swing off a building and fight back. I just like about everything going on. But I will say this is definitely more of a one-sided fight when it starts out. Goku is beating the ever-loving shit out of King Piccolo from this power-up. And I like it and all, but King Piccolo himself has to resort to freaking cheating by taking Goku's arms and legs out with rocks, which, you know, as many buildings as Goku has been thrown through and many walls that he's landed in, you would think that, you know, a couple of rocks and pebbles thrown by King Piccolo, well, wind blown anyway, by King Piccolo would be, you know, nothing to him. But I digress. This is still a fun fight, and the animation, it's better in the anime than it is in the manga, I will say, because they are able to stretch it out into a lot of fun portions here. And personally, it's probably one of my favorite original Dragon Ball fights. There are many that I do like, and if I wanted to add more Dragon Ball fights than Z, I would have to do a top 20 list, but we don't have time for that. Bottom line, this one is just full of action and full of fun. You got to check it out.
I think things are about to heat up big time. Get ready!
Everyone versus the Ginyu Force. Now, I'm talking about everyone. What do I mean? When the fight starts with Guldo and ends with Jason Birder and Ginyu, that's where this is all going to. And yeah, this is kind of a cheat, but it's fun to watch Gohan and Krillin actually team up and fight Guldo at first and then get their ass saved by Vegeta. And then they have to go against the powerhouse of Recoome, and Vegeta gets his ass handed to him, which is probably my favorite team-up battle of all, is Gohan, Krillin, and Vegeta teaming up to fight Recoome as much as they can, and they're all just getting their asses kicked severely. I mean, Vegeta starts out really strong, but yeah, it's a bloodbath. Then for Goku to show up, take out Recoome and Birder easily, and then fights with Ginyu, and Vegeta finishing off Jace, getting a little bit of payback later on. I do like that. Then the body switching stuff happens. So there is a lot of stuff crammed into this fight, but I consider it one long fight. It starts out with Guldo and it ends with Vegeta versus Ginyu, if you think about it. To me, might be my favorite little portions of the fights on Namek. They're short and sweet. Each character gets to shine in their own way and use special abilities against each other. And of course, they have their Goku saving the day shining moments, but each character is involved, it's fun, and we get a little bit more fun. It's a lot more interesting and way out of control than Goku versus Frieza. And I hate to break it to you guys, that will not be on this list. Goku versus Frieza will not be on this list at all. So if you're expecting me to put that on there, no, it's not. Yes, it is a good fight, and it leads up to one of the greatest moments in Dragon Ball history, but it's long, and it's too long for my taste. Well, if you're expecting that on here, I apologize. But the Ginyu Force is just freaking fantastic. I love every second that these guys have on screen together, and basically Ginyu fighting with Goku and then turning into a frog by the end after he gets his ass whooped by Vegeta is just fantastic. There's just so much fun, and it involves the entire cast. It's not everybody just sitting around watching. First, Gohan and Krillin are teaming up with Vegeta, and then we have Gohan and Krillin teaming up with Goku and Ginyu's body, which is just awesome. And I really enjoy that one quite a bit, and some of the visuals kind of make me laugh too. And finally, we have Vegeta teaming up with Goku and everybody else within Ginyu's body, and then it just goes and goes. But it's only like 7 or 8 episodes as a total, because the Ginyu saga, when they were dubbed, they just did it that way. But it's great. I love almost every bit, and I love the Ginyu Force themselves. They're all enjoyable characters and a lot of fun. So let's go on to the next one.
You won't come!
Here we go. Goku versus Baby. And I'm actually going to start it on the second round. I would include it all, but there's a big gap of time of episodes fluctuating out while we're waiting after Kid Goku tries to fight at Super Saiyan 3, gets killed, gets sent to the afterlife. So I kind of add it, but I'm going to more or less add their second battle. Now, I think a lot of people are probably surprised I put a GT fight on here. But personally, I'm a GT fanboy. Or I guess nowadays they're called GT apologists. Especially after we got Super, and it's, you know what? I best not go into my rant about Super. Let's just stick to the fight. I'm not a Super fan. I'm sorry, everyone. Anyhow, let's go back to it. GT Goku versus Baby and the second fight, basically. It starts out really great. After Goku is jumping in after Oob is eaten, unfortunately, poor Oob is eaten, Goku shows up and he tries his best to fight. At first he's getting pummeled, but then he sees the moon, his tail has grown back, and he has become a freaking Ozaru, and he's destroying everything in place. Pan finally is able to connect with him, which I just love these scenes, by the way, and finally gets him to transform and change, and he moves on to a Super Saiyan 4, which by far is one of my favorite designs. A lot of people find it ridiculous, but Super Saiyan 4 is freaking awesome. And he just pummels the shit out of Baby. I love watching every second of this, especially in the Japanese version. Now, GT is normally, you know, Dragon Ball itself is normally a show I watch in dub form. But when it comes to GT, I like to watch the subtitled version. They really went off script and there's no fixing and tuning it up. But man, when they really go out there, they really full-fledged go out there in this battle. And this is probably the best fight out of GT entirely. Seeing that first transformation of Super Saiyan 4 is downright epic. Now, do I think it's better than, say, the Omega Shenron fights and stuff? Well, yeah. The Dark Dragons or the Shadow Dragons are fine, but this felt like it had more weight to it, and Baby was a fantastic villain. That is one thing I really liked how GT went. He's basically a reverse Cell, and he's a little bit more interesting than Cell. Do I like him better than Cell? Oh, no. But I do find him a lot more interesting, and how much detail they put into his character. He literally becomes the thing that he hates most. And I like villains who actually do that, who have this darker turn into their minds and stuff. But anyhow, this fight with Baby just goes full out, from Goku getting his ass kicked to him doing the ass kicking. And Baby himself has to transform into an Ozaru, and still, it's not enough to beat Super Saiyan 4 Goku. It's completely laughable. And it ends on a really good somber note, with Gohan saying one of my favorite lines from the show, that he had to rely on everybody else's power. He really is a big baby. Which kind of foreshadows the saga after the Super 17. You'll see what I mean. Anyhow, this fight it does not stop going, and it feels like it's completely in motion, and that's one thing I really do like about GT. They try to connect everything together. It's not just, well, we're going to the next saga and to the next saga. No, it all tries to stay cohesive into one long storyline, and the Baby fight does that super well. So yeah, I really love the animation in this one, and I love the Super Saiyan 4 design and the complete ass kicking that Baby definitely deserved. Let's move on.
Willing to give up? They just keep going!
Alright, Kid Goku from Dragon Ball versus Master Roshi. This fight is definitely the pinnacle of classic Dragon Ball. Now, I remember saying that I love the King Piccolo fight a lot, and it to me was just epic, but this one was Master Roshi / Jackie Chun trying to teach his student in a good way about how to be the best. Now, Dragon Ball Super actually tries to do this with Fierce and to make Goku stronger, and this is why I hate it, because it just constantly recycles everything. No, Master Roshi goes into disguise as Jackie Chun, and he kicks the hell out of all his students. Even Goku, but he has the worst trouble with Goku. This just has about everything in it Dragon Ball wise. This is the very best of Dragon Ball. Watching Goku go completely out on Master Roshi, and Master Roshi having to go completely out, is just fucking great. I mean, there are certain scenes that just really make the fight go really well. I mean, it goes from the fact that Goku isn't winning at first and he's trying to put up a good fight, then relying and turning into the giant ape himself, Master Roshi having to blow up the damn moon, and then they are still going at it. And what really causes the fight to determine the winner is long legs. Basically, if Goku's legs would have just been a few inches longer, he would have won the battle. But everything about this fight is just, it's kind of going into the classic martial arts Japanese stories, which I love, those old classic Kurosawa films and etc. And it just has everything. This is just like Dragon Ball's greatest matches of all time. Now, a lot of people like his fight with Tien, which I even enjoy his fight with Tien. There's a lot of original Dragon Ball fights that I have embedded in my memory, but this one was the most epic to me. They kept its comedic elements, which I really enjoy, and they kept its darker, serious tones on top of it. In fact, they even tried to do a fake out when Master Roshi blows up the moon, thinking he killed Goku, which he didn't. And they even have a little bit of great naked jokes in it, which, you know, lowbrow humor, haha. That is just Toriyama at his best there. I really like how they even had to explain to the announcer what went on and how slow they have to reenact some of it. I just love nearly about everything in this fight. Even the score of the fight is fantastic, which you can only hear in the Japanese version if you watch it. But Dragon Ball is basically an anime I do watch dubbed, because they kind of learned from their mistakes when they were first doing the Z dub, and when they were doing the original Dragon Ball dub, they kind of tried to stick more to the script. And plus, Stephanie Donnelly as Goku is always fantastic to me. She is just a full-fledged win. But anyway, yeah, this one is totally worth the spot that it's at. That's all I'm going to say. Let's move on.
I thought. You see? This is our fate, our battle!
Here we are at the top 5. Goku versus Majin Vegeta. Now, I know a lot of people aren't really fond of this fight, but me, I absolutely love this fight. This was the rematch that many fans were waiting for, and we've been wanting this since the Saiyan saga. This fight is technically just complete fan service, so Vegeta and Goku can test their Super Saiyan skills against each other, which we had wanted since he became a Super Saiyan in the Android saga. And what can I say about this? It totally is just brutal. Now, is it as good as another fight that's probably going to be on this list? No. But I think this is a case where the anime outshines the manga here. And because we get to see more of Vegeta's side and etc. on what's going on in his head and while they're fighting. I mean, there is a moment where he actually has Goku in kind of shackles, a shackle attack, and he bitch slaps him. I love that. Then Goku like rips his shackles out and smashes Vegeta in the face with giant boulders on his arms. Man, how can you go wrong with this fight? It's definitely worthy of being in the top 5. All I'm going to say, it's that freaking epic. I enjoyed nearly every bit of this fight, but then we're kind of getting sidetracked. It will start to feel kind of like filler right when Boo is hatching and Goku and Vegeta are still fighting. But the very first beginning of this fight is so freaking awesome. And getting to hear Vegeta's story about his pride on the sidelines is just great too. I love the chemistry that the two had built up, and they did deserve to have this big fight. Now, one of my favorite YouTubers, Mr. Fusion, who I absolutely love the dude, kind of complained that the fight didn't have much substance. Well, I am going to say I do respect his opinion, and, you know, he is one of my inspirations for doing these kind of Dragon Ball related videos. But I'm going to say that it's not supposed to have a whole lot of substance here. It's basically for Vegeta and Goku rival fanboys like me that have wanted to see this fight. But I will agree that it really has a strong beginning at the beginning of the fight. I mean, we get a whole big episode connected to it. And then it starts to slow way down after Boo is hatched. And you're kind of wanting to stick onto the story where, hey, you know, Boo is out. Stop fighting, guys. And it starts to feel like a pointless subplot afterwards. So I do kind of get it from his point of view, and that is kind of how I feel. But the beginning and middle of the fight is so strong, while near the end is so, well, kind of a downer and kind of subplot-ish. You know, like something you'd see a side character be in filler. And I do get that. I do feel that. But it has a really strong beginning. I mean, Vegeta is completely under Babbidi's spell. He's blowing up things to get his way. He's acting like old Vegeta, and you could tell in his expressions and face he does not want to do that. And the fact that he blew up a bunch of people in the audience means he gives no shits. So, it has a strong beginning. Let's move on.
What did you think, huh?
Alright, next is Goku and Vegeta versus Kid Buu. Now, I'm going to count this from the beginning where Vegeta is fighting Buu to save time, for Goku to use the Spirit Bomb, and the beginning fight even beforehand when Goku is just fighting him alone and getting his ass kicked in the same process before Vegeta comes up with the thought of, hey, do it with the Spirit Bomb. We get to see a lot of Buu going on here, and I really enjoy it because the animation is so much fun. Buu is full-fledged nuts here. I mean, I love a chaotic villain that is just to destroy things, just to destroy, and Goku and Vegeta having to work together. Hell, even throwing Mr. Satan in there to kind of distract Buu, and not only that, that's not the only thing that's thrown in. The Fat Buu is just also thrown in to have into this big epic fight, while everything is going on to buy Goku time to use the Spirit Bomb. I love nearly everything that's going on here. There is a lot on the line. Earth is wished back. The Dragon Balls are being used on Namek, bringing the Earth back. Vegeta is getting pummeled. The Fat Buu is getting pummeled. And then on top of that, Goku himself is getting pummeled. This is just an epic fight. And I really like the animation used around Kid Buu. The way that they frame it and stuff just kind of kicks ass here. I love seeing Buu do things like put his foot into the ground and then it just jumps up and it starts attacking people out of nowhere. Him and Fat Buu's fight, they are going all out until Fat Buu can't even move anymore. It's just epic. This is one of the big Z fights, and it's at the very tail end of it. A lot of the show relied on fusions at this point, that, oh, you can only save us if you do fusion. And then Gohan had a few fights beforehand, and then we just had the fight with Vegeta, which is cool, but seeing Goku and Vegeta work separately, together, not in fusion form, to me, kind of just, you know, marks this as the best fight out of the, well, one of the best fights out of the Buu saga. To me, it just had a lot going for it. The animation is up, the fighting stances are up, and the challengers are all going. There is a lot on the line, and the Supreme Kai planet is completely and utterly wrecked by the time it's over. I mean, I enjoy nearly every split second of it. There is no stopping. I mean, it's like you've got your foot on the gas pedal and you are pursuing it as fast as you freaking can. And it is definitely the most energetic feeling of the fights in Dragon Ball history. I definitely feels more like a Dragon Ball fight, possibly more so than a Z fight to me. Because at this point, the Z fights were relying too much on fusions or special abilities. Nope, it's Goku going out with his fists, same with Vegeta and Fat Boo, until it's all taken down with the attack that started it all, the freaking Spirit Bomb. Well, it didn't start it all, but it was the big power-up that started it all. The freaking Spirit Bomb, which Boo is able to push back until Vegeta has the bright idea of wishing for Goku to be at full health, which worked perfectly, and it ends on a really awesome note. Probably one of the best ending fights in the entire Dragon Ball series. That's my opinion, but I said one of the best in the Boo saga. There's still another one on here.
You are a fool! I'm going to crush you and throw you into the wind!
Let's get to it right here. Majin Vegeta versus Fat Boo. Yeah, I'm going by identifying them from the way the characters look so I don't get, confused here. Sorry, everybody, but he's fat. Anyhow, yeah. This fight is probably, well, my second favorite Vegeta fight in the entire Dragon Ball franchise. And Vegeta fights a lot, does he not? But this one just had a lot more going for it to me because of the reasoning behind it. Even though Vegeta was kind of stupid for knocking Goku out at this point and going to take on Boo on his own, but then Goku was kind of an asshole for hiding Super Saiyan 3 and allowing Vegeta to think he could win, so the water is very, very gray here. There is no good people out of this one. Goku was a dick and so is Vegeta. But at this point, Vegeta is to fight Fat Boo himself. He starts by blowing up Babbidi's spaceship, which I just love that all around. It's just great. He blows up fucking Babbidi's ship, and then he challenges Boo himself. And he starts the fight out by, well, quite literally pounding the living shit out of Boo, but Boo able to get up from it each time and regenerate. Vegeta then, on top of it, fires a hole through him, and he still regenerates. Boo then starts beating the living shit out of Vegeta, causing Vegeta to realize that he cannot win this fight. But what makes this fight one of his best fights is because he's not fighting to get stronger than Goku or doing it for himself. No, he is doing this fight for his family and his loved ones. In fact, even at the end of the fight, he says he does it for everyone, including Goku, which is pretty awesome. This had a big impact on me when I was a kid. The fact that Vegeta was going completely all out was just unheard of for me, and the fact that he wasn't doing it for any other selfish reasons other than the selfish reason of him going under Babbidi's spell and not really being under his control and blowing the shit out of people. But that's, I already explained that. Let's just face it, Vegeta's an asshole. But here, he is full-fledged going all out, and the fact, one of the most emotional moments in Dragon Ball history for me was where he sacrifices himself to destroy Boo, and if they would have ended it here, that Vegeta's self-sacrifice defeated Boo, I might have been happy with that ending. It was kind of a middle finger to the face to see that his self-sacrificing attack didn't work. But it was just so much fun, and it had more meaning to it than just being a pointless battle. Vegeta goes completely all out. He's doing everything he can, and I just loved every second of it. He even has an emotional moment where he hugs Trunks, knocks him out, and then he knocks Goten out because, Goten won't shut the fuck up. Sorry about my language. And it just pulls at the heartstrings the right way. This was a fight that I wanted to see, and in a way, Vegeta did get to redeem himself, even though he did get sent straight down to hell right afterwards. But he did get a chance to come back and help Goku fight up against Kid Buu later on, so it really did help out and work out for the best. But if this would have been the end of his arc, I probably wouldn't have complained. I mean, even if it didn't kill Buu and that was it and Vegeta couldn't come back, that would have been an excellent ending to his character to me. Because this fight just showcased on how much of a decent, I'm not going to say good, decent person he had become. He didn't really become a decent person until this moment. He was still kind of a dickhead. But he was a fun dickhead. Anyhow, this one is worthy of number 3. Now, obviously, we're getting down to the last 2, and I'm sure you guys are going to be able to guess what those 2 are. Let's move on. Number 2, Gohan versus Cell. Now, I am going to start this fight up sort of where Goku is fighting Cell at first and then he gives up. I'm going to count that. But this is completely Gohan's moment, and a lot is going on here. At first, Gohan is trying to philosophize with Cell, telling him that he doesn't want to fight because he doesn't want to kill him. And basically, Goku looks like a douchebag by throwing his son under the bus, for one, making him fight, and giving Cell a freaking sensu bean like a dumbass. I'm sorry, but that's like the dumbest thing I've seen Goku do. Here, take a sensu bean. Yeah, let's just say I facepalmed at that. But it's Cell's philosophy and Gohan's philosophy that I really like watching, the dichotomy between the two. Cell, who loves to destroy and wreak havoc, versus Gohan, who is basically a pacifist and never wanted to be a fighter, but he had it thrown into him. This is basically what we get. Gohan finally is triggered enough, and I just like even the beginnings of this fight, where Gohan is trying to plead with Cell not to fight, Cell bringing out the Cell Juniors, which, you know, he pooped those things out. I don't know what it is with this character, you know, opening his tail and sucking things up and spitting things out. Anyhow, he brings out the Cell Juniors, Android 16 trying to stop Cell himself, the bomb not working, Android 16 being destroyed and having his head smashed, and Gohan finally snapping and going beyond a Super Saiyan 2, and where he just decimates and beats the shit out of Cell, who deserves it, and Gohan's overconfidence getting the best of him, Cell blowing up, killing Goku, and leaving Gohan for the final Kamehameha, I know I just said it wrong, Kamehameha beam struggle that the series has ever seen. Plus, I do like in the filler sections where all the other characters show up and they are blasting Cell as it's continuing to go on. I loved about every second of it. In fact, I even like the part where Cell destroys the ring and then decides to fight Gohan without any barriers or anything like that. I mean, it's basically a fight to the freaking death. And yeah, I just really love it. I think the moment that saves the entire fight for me and makes it stand out the most is Gohan's transformation. The music that plays, the voice acting going on by both Stephanie Nadonli and Goku's original Japanese voice actress is unbelievable. This is one where I could watch both versions of the show, and the music that is being played is excellent. Until Team 4 Star decided to write lyrics for it and kind of ruin it. I'm not a big TFS guy, guys. I'm sorry. But this one just kind of kicked ass, and that's how I really felt about it. It wasn't just a fight just for fighting's sake. It was a battle to save the world, and one that involved character development for Gohan. Of course, they turned Gohan into a nerd in later installments of GT and Super. But that doesn't really bother me because Gohan was never really a fighter. This was his shining moment, and I think this is where it should have stayed. I never really cared for Ultimate Gohan with the black hairdo and the Boo Saga and whatnot, but I do like that he did have his huge character-defining moment here, and it was just going to be a really epic showdown with one of Dragon Ball's better villains. Now we're moving to number 1, and if number 1 isn't obvious, then I don't know what is, but let's move to it. Yes, number 1 is Mr. Satan versus Cell. I mean, come on, guys. The dude is so powerful that... Okay, I'm kidding. I'm done. I'm sorry. It is Goku versus Vegeta, the very first fight. This one was epic. This is the pinnacle of Dragon Ball Fights to me. No matter how many times you see it, there are beam struggles that originated in this fight. There are beating people to a pulp to where Goku has to rip off his shirt and get his body broken. There's giant Ozaros, Vegeta going ape, and still Goku getting pummeled and getting his body smashed up. Gohan and Krillin stepping in, all in one of the biggest Dragon Ball fights in history. In fact, to me, when I think of the word Dragon Ball Fights, this is the first one that pops into my head. Vegeta versus Goku is just epic. It is one giant epic fight, and it is Dragon Ball. There's no Super Saiyans here. There's no super power-up. No, this is a straight-out teeth-gritting fight that everyone has to be involved with. We show up, Goku shows up, takes out Nappa, and most of Goku's friends are dead. Piccolo is gone. Tien, Chaozu, and Yamcha are gone at this point. All that's left is Krillin and Gohan and Yajirobe. And everyone that is involved with this fight is involved with this fight. This, to me, is the ultimate Dragon Ball fight that could never be topped. No matter how many series they try to pump out more, no matter how many movies they bring, they could even bring Cell back and Frieza back, nothing can top this fight. And it's about the right length. Goku and Vegeta had their own little battle for a while they're waging war against their own dichotomies of the character, Vegeta being the brutal killer and Goku being more of the kinder heart, letting people go and live. Then, after that fight's done with, Goku is being taken down a peg. After one of the greatest beam struggles in Dragon Ball history, the Kamehameha versus the Gallic Gun, it just gets even more epic from there. Vegeta is pissed. He becomes a giant ape. Everyone has to be involved with. Yajirobe slices off his tail, which is, oh, holy shit, that's awesome. Vegeta is still raring to go. Goku is brutal and bloodied and beaten. Krillin has already got his ass kicked, but then they try again with the Spirit Bomb, and that still does not work. Vegeta comes down and is still ready to kill people. How he survives all this, I have no idea. The fact is that Gohan then sees the moon, his tail grows back. Vegeta knows that they are in some really deep shit. And yeah, it just goes and goes and goes. And it basically, Vegeta or Goku, neither one loses. It's basically a draw. Vegeta retreats and goes back to, well, planet Frieza, I guess. And Goku lets him go because he wants to fight him one day. Everything in between this is just an epic showdown. The Kaioken, but Vegeta able to fight up against it. The beam struggle, the giant Ozarus. Everything about this is freaking amazing. And I don't think any other Dragon Ball fight has been able to top it. I mean, there have been many that have tried. I mean, I loved many of the fights that I listed, but none of them made an impact like this fight. And it is worthy of being the #1 Dragon Ball fight in history to me. But as I said, this is the greatest Dragon Ball fight ever, in my opinion. And that about does it for this. I went on a full fanboy scale rant on this about how much I loved it and what I love about it and why I love it. So that about does it for my #1 pick here. And that ends this video. Did I miss any fights that you guys liked? I know I had a lot of Z fights on here, but I think that's a given since it's the most action-oriented show. So tell me what your favorites are. Tell me in the comments what your favorite fight is. And was my #1 a little too obvious? Anyhow, like I always say, always remember, I'm listening.
Smiley Bear, the narrator from Dragon Ball Z. And you are watching Mr. Tim. If you like what you hear and see, make sure to subscribe, follow, ding that bell so you get notifications every time there's a new Mr. Tim episode. Listen hard and enjoy.